Cherry bounce is a really big deal in my family. My dad taught me how to make cherry bounce. His grandmother taught him how to make it. It is a alcoholic cordial that's made with whiskey and cherries and sugar, and then you put it in a bottle and let it sit for a long time, and it is delicious. And so today I'm gonna show you how to make that. I was very excited years ago when we bought this house and realized that there were some very old cherry trees in the backyard. I asked the previous owners what they were and learned that they were Montmorency Cherries, which is a sour cherry, which is exactly what you want to use for cherry bounce. And so it has made some really great batches of cherry bounce over the last several years. First, I'm going to show you what the cherry trees looked like back in the early spring when they were blooming. So the cherry trees bloomed out today. I didn't know if they were going to, but they have actually bloomed about 8 days earlier than normal, and the bees are all over the trees, and there are lots of blossoms and lots of bees that pollinate, and that's what we need for a really good cherry crop. These are Montmorency Cherry Trees. They've been here for a long time, and they usually give us pretty good crop of cherries, and in a few weeks we'll be able to pick those. If you'll take a look, the bees are just buzzing around, and they are landing, going from bloom to bloom, and that's what we need for really good pollination. The cherries are a nice dark red and ready to be picked. We have to beat the cedar waxwings from getting them. They're a bird that follow the cherry crop all around, and I did see a scout yesterday coming, and it was poking at some cherries and squawking, and I know that today, if I don't get to these cherries, they will get to them. The ones up high, I'm able to just leave for the birds because I can't reach them, but all of the ones that are low are the ones that I want. Okay, I think we have about the cherries that I can reach that are ripe. I will go inside and wash these and show you how to make cherry bounce. I'll come out over the next several days and get any new ripe cherries and keep making bottles over the next several days. But for now, we've got enough, I think, for our first bottle. Okay, we've got a good bowl of cherries. What you're gonna need to make cherry bounce is whiskey. You wanna use any great whiskey, Tennessee whiskey or bourbon, Kentucky bourbon, but you want it to be one that you really like. And you'll need cherries, sour cherries. You'll need an old whiskey bottle in order to make this in, and you will need sugar. I use raw cane sugar for this, and any sort of organic sugar should be able to work. And so I'll show you how to put it together. First though, we're going to wash our cherries really well. I've got the cherries all washed and dried, and so what we're gonna do now is we are going to fill up this bottle almost all the way to the top with cherries. It'll take a few minutes, but you want to get them all in there. When you are washing your cherries, you want to make sure to pick through them for any that are brown or yucky and just toss those out. You don't want to include those in your cherry bounce. So we want just really good looking, very red sour cherries. If you are using a larger sour cherry than these, you may want to pick a glass bottle that has a larger neck that you can actually get the cherries down in there. But we're going to fill this all the way up to the top, and then we'll add our sugar and whiskey. Cherry bounce is a very old tradition in this country. As I said, my dad taught me how to make it, and his grandmother taught my dad how to make it. And you can find it all the way back to the beginnings of this country. I found a very old recipe book not long ago from Charleston, and it had a couple different ways of making cherry bounce in it. But this is a tradition that goes back a long way in the US, and I'm glad to continue that on. We've got them all the way filled, almost all the way up to the top, so we're going to go ahead and put our sugar in, and then we'll finish filling it up the rest of the way. So for this size bottle, I'm going to use about a cup of sugar. You can kind of, this isn't an exact measurement thing. And then I use a funnel so that I can pour the sugar down in there. We're going to try to see if we can get a full cup of sugar in there before adding whiskey. Not quite. So shake it down a little bit. take the whiskey and I'm going to pour some whiskey in on top of it. Okay, so we're going to pour the whiskey in and hope that it starts dissolving some of the sugar. It looks like I got the sugar a little far up, so I'm going to use a skewer and just kind of swirl it around so that it dissolves down into the cherries. But we want to try to get as much sugar and whiskey and cherries into this bottle as we possibly can. So there, you see that the whiskey is starting to go down through the cherries, which is what we want. Now we're going to slowly add more until we can get it all the way full. There we go. It's starting to percolate down through the cherries, which is exactly what we want. Okay, and there we have the bottle all full. We'll cork it and then we'll clean it up, and I will watch that over the next several months. I put it into a dark place for about anywhere from 9 months to a year before I try it. You want to give it a good shake and try to dissolve as much of that sugar as possible. You can shake it every few weeks, and then it'll continue to mix and dissolve, and it will be fantastic in about a year. So I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like from a few years ago. Okay, now that I've shown you how to make cherry bounce, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like. I know it's going to seem like a long time to wait when you put that bottle of cherry bounce away and let it sit for a year or so, but it really does make all the difference when you have it. We have some cherry bounce that is many, many years old that my dad made a long time ago when he was living, and it is still fantastic. This bottle of cherry bounce I made 2 years ago. It's really great, and you can see it gets a very dark color to it, kind of a reddish color, and the cherries just start, melting down into the bottle. And this bottle was all the way full of cherries when I made it, but you see they sink as they're letting go of their juice. So I normally serve it in a cordial glass. These are some great little set of glasses that were my great-grandmother's that my dad gave me. And I serve it after dinner when I've got guests over that are very dear and special to me. I'll pull out the cherry bounce, and it's always a great way to end the meal. But it's a beautiful color. It's nice reddish and smells fantastic and is really delicious. That is really good, and that's about 2 years old. So I am glad to share this family tradition with you. I hope it becomes a tradition in your family. Find some sour cherries, get some good whiskey and some sugar, and try making your own cherry bounce. You'll be very happy you did. It's delicious. Cheers. For more Weekends in Rugby, check us out on Instagram. Let me know about some of the family traditions that you have, including cordial making. Take care.